my name is Greg Wilkins. I'd like to give an update on the Signalk Racer plugin, which I've recently started developing to make racing with Signalk a little bit easier. I've just released 0.9.7 of the plugin. It's still very early days, still very prototypey, but I have done one race with it and it proved useful. And so this is just an update of how you can use it. At the moment I'm focusing in on start lines, how to set the start line, how to adjust the start line, how to work at the distance to the start line, how to use a good start timer to get you there, and then a little bit on the next leg of the course to get you around the course okay. So this display here is showing us what the Signalk Racer plugin is currently calculating. It's currently doing the start line length, the bias of the start line, the time to start, the distance to the line, the next leg heading, and the true wind angle on the next leg. And so let's zoom in on that a little bit more to show how it all works. Here we have a start line display, and that's actually Freeboard has had the ability to display the start line, and what the plugin is doing is defining the ends of the line, and Freeboard just displays it for us in this very pretty little style. And the start line is actually defined by waypoints. So I can have, if I show those two waypoints, start boat and start pin, the names of which are controlled by the plugin configuration. I can just move these waypoints like this, and once I move the waypoint, the plugin sees the waypoints moved and republishes where it thinks the start line is, and Freeboard updates its graphics to match that. So that's one way I can define a start line. If you know the start line in advance, you can have the waypoints. Our club has a fixed twilight line, and so those ends are very well known. The other way I can do it, of course, is that my boat's going past here. I can just ping the line. So if I say the starboard end of the line is where I am now, ping, and there the line's gone to where my bow was. I believe the calculation of where the bow was correct. It's just that Freeboard displays the boat right on top. I've checked that a couple times, but I have to double check that the bow is quite right. So I can ping the line with the boat, say here it is. If they then go and change it on me, I can actually, once I've pinged it, I can say, oh, it's actually a little bit shorter than that. I can shorten up the line, move it 10 meters at a time, or I can move the pin in by 1 meter, or I can rotate it. I can move the pin away by 1 degree, or I can move the boat end around. So with this web app here, this is a web app, which eventually I'll hopefully make into a nice kit widget or multiple widgets. I can adjust the start line to exactly where it is on the water, or I can use waypoints to have it as a fixed line. When I do adjust this line here, it's actually moving the waypoints as well, so that persists the changes, so that if you have to do a restart of the system during the 5-minute countdown, you don't lose the line that you've pinged. So it persists the line. So once we have the line defined, it's continually working out the bias, which is, this is here is saying that the boat end is minus 70 meters towards the wind. So minus 70, where's the wind coming from? Oh yeah, that's probably correct. Yes, the pin end is closer to where the wind's coming from. The wind is changing fairly randomly. It was recorded at a different time to when my boat moved, so it's a bit weird. But then we have this distance to line, it's just saying we're minus 91 meters, so we're OCS. Positive means you're on the start side, and negative means you're OCS. The way I've calculated the distance to the line is as a perpendicular distance to the line, but I have a 45-degree sort of zone coming out from either end of the line. If you're in that zone, which I'm probably just in, then the distance to the line is basically the parallel distance to the 45, then the perpendicular distance to the line. So the idea is that while you're in the sort of near the line, you're getting the perpendicular distance to the line, which is your BMG, to the line. but if you're a long way off either end, it's telling you, you've actually got to get all the way back into the start zone. So we had distance aligned, and that worked. In the one race I've done with that seemed to be pretty accurate. We got plus or minus a metre to where the bow was. I'd say it was pretty good. So once we have our line and we know our distance to the line, we have to have our start time to count us down into that line. So here we have the start timer. Let me just reset that. So initially it starts off as a fairly standard start timer. 5 minutes to go, start, it's counting down. A key aspect of this timer is that it's a server-side timer, so I can have multiple displays all showing the same time. The previous KIP start timer was client-side only, so if you had two heads, you'd have two different timers. So you can see here that the web app is showing the timer, and this KIP numerical display is also showing the same time. We have the normal sort of adjustments where I can just add a second, or I can add a minute, I can sync it to the nearest minute. Fairly standard sort of timer stuff. But what I'm also doing is I'm also showing the time I'm actually starting at. So let's say I sort of pinged it thinking, I know my start time is at 9:55. But I've missed it by a little bit. You can actually increment it up. Here we are. Oops, got too far. There's my times. My start time's at 9:55. Or I can do it the other way around. Let's say I'm getting ready for a big offshore race, which I know starts at 12 o'clock that day. I can say 12 o'clock. I can say start at. And so now this is telling me I've got 2 hours and 9 minutes and 23 seconds to go until the start time. So I can have that up on a display continuously. So while I'm doing my prep for the offshore race, I know how much time I got left. Once I get into the start area for the offshore race, I can of course sync the timer to the guns or any signals I'm getting. So I get a nice, easy, continuous timer. Let's say I got it a little bit wrong, of course I can plus it or minus a minute and get it in there. So once we have the start timer to help us to the start of the race, we want to see where we're going. So let's look back here at freeboard here. This blue line is a route I've defined in freeboard. It's a single one leg around, finishing on the same start line. And the yellow line is showing us what we're supposedly meant to be sailing to, although I am currently sailing away from it. And these lay lines are being calculated by freeboard on that. So what the plugin is doing is it's looking at this course, it's saying the next leg is this blue one up to here, and it's saying that the heading of that next leg is 320, and that given the current wind, the true wind angle on that next leg would be 172 on the port side. So that's telling me that it'd be a very deep run back down there, better get the symmetric ready. And if I was on to the next leg, so I'm actually now going to where I'm heading, this here is the next leg from Manly West to Manly East. So it's telling me the heading is 88 degrees and the wind angle should be 73 on starboard. Just a cracked work off there. And once we're on into the course, going beyond leg 1, the plugin stops calculating the line bias and the distance to the line because that's not necessary once you're in the course. I might actually change it so that when you're on the last leg, let's go to the last leg. Yeah, on the last leg I did do this change. It's telling me the distance to the line, just in case your start line is your finish line, so you know how much further you have to do to get to the finish line. And of course there is no next leg, so you're not getting a next heading or a next true wind angle. Anyway, so that's this current state of the plugin, 0.9.7. I've used it for one race, but it's very early days. I'd really be welcome to feedback on is it usable, anything else you'd like to see in the plugin for racing, and ideas of how to make this web app into a nice beautiful kit widget, or I might make it into 2 widgets. So I might make it to the line adjusting and the countdown timer. The other feature I'd like to do with the countdown timer in KIP is that when it counts down to 0, if you were OCS, it would put a big OCS warning up there and basically freeze that screen. If it doesn't think you're OCS, then you'll be able to configure the next dashboard you'd like to see on KIP, so that as soon as you start, it'll immediately go to your preferred dashboard, showing you, your wind roses and your apparent wind angles and whatever else you like on that first leg. And that way you don't have to have people running up and pushing buttons. But if you were OCS, it will not gloss over that. It'll freeze that and say you are OCS. You can think about going back. Okay, thanks a lot. Standing by to listen to any feedback. Tell me how it works. Cheers.